All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Eventful Life, Live It Out Loud. I am your host, Janelle Boyd. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, welcome. I am an event producer. I'm also a mompreneur. I also am affectionately an instigator because in this space, I like to challenge you to think a little bit differently about the things that are going on in your life and in your business. Living out loud is all about living authentically and showing up as your full self. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity to bring you women who are women entrepreneurs, women who are mompreneurs, who are doing just that. They are living out loud, doing what I call failing. You know, we have moments in life and business that, you know what, sometimes it doesn't always pan out the way that we thought it would or should. But that does not mean that we can't keep going. We can't learn from those opportunities. And I love how each and every one of these women, that's exactly what they're doing, but they're also sharing it authentically so that we know that we are not alone. I think a lot of times we think when we're going through these things that nobody else out there could possibly understand. But the more we share with each other, the more that we're able to come together in this commonality of, you know what, girl, I may not got it all, but together we got it all, right? So I'm
Exactly.
excited to bring you another mompreneur this week. Um, she is amazing. She does a lot of different hats. She is mom. She runs her own business, which is consult. Make sure I get it right. Consult Square Group. Is that right?
That is right. That
Okay.
is right.
Look, I don't want to butcher no names.
No, that is right.
And she also is a self-care advocate. You know, she has come to the place where she understands how important that is when you are wearing many different hats. So, Jetheda, I am so excited to have you, girl. Welcome.
Thank you. I am excited to be here. I'm so honored. Look, when you watch people from afar, I see your shows on Facebook every week, and I'm like, oh, oh, I love it over there. I love it. So when you asked me, I was just so tickled. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And you're right. You know what? It's so funny because whenever someone says that to me, I'm like, girl, I'll be watching you too. I'm like, we just be watching each other.
Cheering you on.
That's right. So it's like they say, you never know who's watching, being inspired, by what you do. So I
Hmm.
love that because I love what you do. And I love how I'm sure it's not effortless, but you make it look effortless.
Nothing is ever effortless,
I know,
especially
right?
as a mom.
That is so true. Oh my gosh. So today, guys, we are going to talk a little bit about, self accountability is self care. I thought that this was such a great topic for Jetheda and I to dive into today because number one, I know right now we're probably hearing a lot about self care out here in the universe. It seems like it's kind of become the buzzword for folks, especially coming out of this pandemic. But I got to be honest, number one, I do feel like there has been this sort of revelation of truly digging deeper to understand what type of care does thyself need, right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of us were just bad at it, like we just weren't doing it. So there is a need, but then I also want to make sure that we are clear on what self-care looks like, right? And I know that that term is can be very broad in a sense because in any given moment, it's what you truly need. But
Yeah.
also we have to get to the root, right, Jetheda, of what does that look like for you? And how are we making sure that it is actually evolving us into that better self that we ultimately are trying to, are trying to work toward.
Yeah.
So Jetheda, let's start there, because I really want to dive into this with you, and I want you to share with the audience a little bit about your journey, how you have kind of come through being, or I shouldn't say come through, because you still a mom, we forever a mom, but but your
That's
journey
right.
of becoming a mom, operating in your business, and just how you kind of arrived at the understanding of knowing that, what, self-care has to be a part of my own journey.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said thus far. And, I'm reminded to back when I was younger, growing up, being a teenager in the 90s. And, you kind of, I know for me, the worst thing that someone could say to you at the time was, oh, she thinks she all that. She thinks she all that. You know what I mean? And it's like you would absorb that as a teenager, like, oh, okay.
Right, like a bad thing.
Right, let me shrink a little bit. Let me, kind of gray myself out a bit, because I'm being perceived as, better, or that, I think more of
better
myself.
than.
It was negative. It was negative, right? And I remember this period of time where that phrase set with me so deeply and made me so sad that people would think, oh, she thinks she's all that. Where now, as a 40-some-year-old, that's goals. That's goals. Yeah. Right. That's goals, to get to the point where I know I'm all that, and I don't mean by, outward appearance or anything like that, but really that my soul and my heart is taken care of. That is the goal, is to be all that.
Right. And
but
why,
I remember,
and why shouldn't you think that, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's so funny you mentioned that terminology, because I can remember somebody saying that to me when I was younger too, and unfortunately it was another female. But my thing is, why shouldn't we think we are all that? Like, shouldn't we think good about ourselves? Shouldn't we think positively about ourselves?
Exactly. And even at the time, I remember, my mom and my aunts would all, they would combat it and say, oh, don't worry about what they, and me being a teenager, I'm like, you don't have to go to school with these people. I'm at school, these people, I see them. I can't,
right. I can just be like, okay, listen, I don't have to deal with, like, no, I got to look at you every day.
Yeah, every day. So yeah, as an adult, it's like, how do I take care of myself every single day, and not give that responsibility to anyone else, married or not married. It's my responsibility to know my needs. I can't articulate if I don't know what that is. And that does take some real work, because you can go through life and kind of tuck away. And for prime example, me bringing up something that happened 20 plus years ago, clearly that set with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that set with me. So me knowing those triggers and those things that kind of will send me to a place of sadness or where I feel hurt, and then trying to combat them, that in itself is a place of self-care, trying to really recreate narratives that may have been planted in my heart or in my head at a young age.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I always say, like, we are, as we grow up, we bring the things that we grew up with into our adulthood. Like, we are a product of our childhood experiences, and unless we take a moment, like, do a check-in and say, you know what, that no longer serves me anywhere. I need to let that go, or I need to, like you just said, change that narrative. Then, unbeknownst to us, we have brought that with us, carried that with us into our adulthood and our relationships, both personal and professional. And listen, the other folks don't even know, well, what in the world just happened?
And you know what? That is so important. And when I deal with other people, I try to have that grace towards them, because I know that even though I don't know specifically what it is that they may have gone through or had to overcome during the course of their life, I know it's something. It may not be similar to mine, but I know it's something. So I can't necessarily, just blame everything that you're throwing my way on you, because you may be speaking to me from the mind of a 5-year-old little girl who was hurt. You may have had bad experiences with other women in your life, bad experiences with men, trust issues, and you're bringing that to me in a conversation that may have nothing to do with that. But I think knowing myself well enough to see in other people that, you know what, Jet, and a lot of people that love me call me Jet, so I call myself that. You know what, you didn't do anything to this person to cause them to behave this way or to act that way. So, that grace has to come in the form of me saying, you know what, I either need to walk away, or let's stop right here. Let's pause, because there's some type of disconnect, especially with other women. Especially with women of color, to go a little bit deeper. I don't like, to have those as adults, somebody, God forbid, say, oh, you think you all that, because my answer now at 42 is much different than my answer would have been at 12 or 13.
Right. That's growth.
Right. So exactly.
But I think it's very I think it's very prevalent that you understand, or that you have the awareness that, that whatever that act was that happened, that's not attached to the person, but it's more so attached to whatever happened to them, or whatever they experienced. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we mistakenly attach it to the person. And I'm always like, well, there aren't bad people. They're just bad things that happen to good people, and I think sometimes, obviously, that can change the dynamic of who we are and how we show up in the world, right? But that's where I want to take it back. That's where I feel like, carving out the self-care, being intentional about it. So as you were kind of journeying, through motherhood and entrepreneurship, did you have moments where you were like, okay, you call yourself Jet? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be you for a minute. You say, okay, okay, Jet, right about now that you got to change something, or you got to do something, because you're starting to feel that weight of, okay, everything, is compounding, or I got so much going on. And you know how it is. We get to those periods where we're just like, okay, this is a lot. And you start to feel the pressure or the weight mounting up, right? Did you have those moments? And when you did, what was kind of your realization that, hey, I got to do something?
Yeah, my overall, I think, philosophy, I'm a very organized person by nature. I like things a certain way. My close friends, they'll tell you, tell her something starts at 9:00, she'll be there at 8:45, because, I like to be punctual. I don't like to waste people's time, so I remember this was maybe in 2009, around there. And I was working for this company in DC, a nonprofit, and in my head, I had put together the pieces of my business plan. I'm about to go over here. I'm about to leave. I'm about to get this business going. I don't need, and at the exact same time, we were trying to conceive our second child. And so I'm trying to do these two big things at the same time, and unbeknownst to me, I had no reason to believe that they both could not happen at the same time, because I want this, this business. I know I have, what it takes for it to succeed, right? So
Sure.
I met, so on both fronts, I was struggling
Wow.
to conceive, struggling to walk away from my job, mostly because of the connection between the two, right? Because there were, with insurance and things like that, there were so many needs on one side, and so I was literally and emotionally drowning because I
Yeah.
felt like everything that I was grabbing at, everything that I was working towards
Yeah.
was kind of being pulled away from me. I feel my chest tightening up now just talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting with a mentor of mine, and she talked to me about, she was like, you talked about for a long time having this great business plan, these ideas. She was like, what about a life plan? What do you want in your life, and how do you prioritize that?
Yeah.
She was like, your business is a priority to you, but your family is also a priority to you.
That's
So
right.
that doesn't mean that you can't do all of it. Some things might just be a not now, and
Yes.
I had to literally put that plan together. And when I tell you, it was a full out, this is what is important to me.
Yes.
And I had to put off starting that business for an amount of time because I knew that conceiving my daughter, my now daughter, was.
Uh-oh. You there?
You
Okay.
Yeah.
You're back.
I was like, what happened?
Y'all know
I
we
knew
have had technical difficulties on here
man,
before.
yeah.
It is all good. Move through them. Look, the devil is a lie. We move through them.
Yes,
We keep
yes.
moving.
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell you the number of times I'm like, can you hear me now? I got my little Chick-fil-A mic on, Yeah, but I got that plan, and as soon as I committed to and was able to sit with the fact that I don't need, the business is going to come.
Yeah.
The house is going to come.
Yeah.
This, specific type of car, this, whatever it is, this vacation, this level of, whatever it is, it's going to come. Everything can't be a right now answer. And what happened to me is that I was stressing myself out because I needed it now,
Right.
almost like a kid,
We think we have to have it now instead of waiting in this due season time.
And it felt so much better to put it down, to know that it's on my plan. Just because it's not my number one focus right now does not mean it won't happen.
Yeah.
And so anytime, people will come to me now and ask, well, can you help me with my business plan? I don't know why my business isn't thriving, isn't succeeding. And that's the first thing I'll say is, let's talk about your life plan.
Right.
Because if there are not, starting a business, and this, it takes so many things to get a business going.
That's
and
right.
If you don't have the time, the energy, the heart, the connection at that moment to do it, then it's okay to say, okay, let me focus on this for a minute and get this together. Because if you're a business owner, you can't walk into a bank and say, okay, I want to get this loan for X, Y, and Z to open up whatever. Because guess what? Your credit isn't right. And your credit may not have anything to do with your business. That's something that you might
or experience, right? Or experience. I love that you're talking about the life plan, because that's one of the things that we preach at Eventful Life is strategic living. And strategic living is a combination of your personal development and your professional development. Both have to have goals, both have to live in the same universe. And I love the fact that, you said, hey, this might be a not yet, or maybe this is just not right now. Because I don't think often enough we give ourselves permission to sit things down and say, not right now, or this is a not yet, or this is a, 2 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. We've been conditioned a lot of times, and I've had to unlearn to relearn myself, because I am definitely the gotta I'm very result driven and oriented, and I'm definitely the gotta have it like yesterday, or gotta do it type of person. But I've reconditioned myself to understand, like you just said, what is the purpose of stressing yourself out?
Yes.
while you are
Yes.
trying to achieve these goals, if by the time you've
Exactly.
achieved them, you are so worn out that you can't even appreciate the blessing
Exactly.
of having them,
That's right. That's
at that
right.
point, it's
We're
like,
always juggling. We're always juggling. We always have things to do. It's not, as a woman, it's just our nature,
yeah,
but I think when you can identify what are the glass balls and what are the plastic balls, because I can let
yeah,
plastic balls drop and pick them up,
mm,
right?
that's good.
These
Yeah,
glass balls, my kids care, their health, their
yeah,
well-being. I can't drop these ever,
that's right.
right?
That's
I can't
right.
ever drop
Girl,
them.
listen, you put that in a great context, because it's like, who wants to drop their kid? You know?
Right, right, right.
Oh, but no,
And there may be situations with my kids that are plastic. There may be
right.
things that I may have to set down, but there are major things like their health, like their,
That's right.
that I will never set down. There may be,
Yeah,
a basketball game or two. I may have to, you know what I mean?
right,
But I
right.
think knowing those different balls, if you will, that you have in
Hmm.
the air, giving yourself the permission, as you said, to
Hmm.
set some things down.
Yeah,
And then I think also having the support system around to kind of
yeah,
let you also give you that affirmation that, yeah, that's okay. It's
yeah,
fine to do that.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I think the support system is definitely needed. Having a community, supportive individuals in your life, but also, making sure that you're communicating, because what we sometimes do is we may have those people, but then we don't let them help, or we don't, we're like, I got it. And so I think you also have to go back to what you said, was using the grace, right? Like, the grace
Hmm.
is where that comes in. You give yourself grace. Yes, you can help out. Here's what I need, at
Yeah.
this
Yes.
particular moment. So, but I want to kind of segue into the next part, which is the self accountability. And I feel like you actually touched on that a little bit in your story, because in order for you to have acknowledged that, hey, I can't do all of this at one time, you know, um, and I've got to take some things, I got to take some things and put them on the shelf for a minute, so that I can, A, keep my sanity,
Yes. Yes.
and, B, really truly enjoy my life, which, that is what we are here to do. We are here to be prosperous in life,
Hmm.
and take, not care of ourselves, but also when we're prosperous, we're able to overflow, that abounds onto others. So
Absolutely.
when we're talking about self accountability, I know sometimes people think that's such an icky word, because they're like, ew, accountability, that feels offensive. Like, you know, they think it's a negative thing, because they're like, who wants to be, it's almost like a drill sergeant, who wants to be like, on themselves all the time. But
Yeah.
I really see it as, more so as like maintenance, taking the time, like you did, to check in with yourself, asking yourself, did you keep those commitments that you said you wanted to? Like, girl, at the start of the year, I said, you know what, listen, I don't do resolutions, but I do intention. So I
Yeah.
said to myself, I said, okay, listen, girl, I know it's gonna hurt, but you're gonna get up every morning and you're gonna go out here and get this boot camp,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
not only are you gonna be miserable, you're gonna make everybody else miserable if you don't.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
I need that
That's how I
movement.
am with my new little Peloton, trying
Yes,
to trying to keep my promise to myself.
exactly. Because you need that movement, you need that release, you need
That's
that
right.
time, just that you're pouring into you. And so I did a check-in with myself, like, okay, I've still kept it up. I've had moments where I might have missed, but I still made sure I did something, even if it was, hey, I'm gonna go walk up the street real quick. But just so that I had that time to myself to move. But I had to take the time and like sit down and say, okay, how are we doing in, you know? And is it still serving you well? Like, are you getting what you need from it that you said you wanted from it? And to me, that's self-accountability. You know, how have you seen that play out for you in terms of, really just having that checks and balance with yourself?
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I don't do resolutions, but I do try to be very strategic about my movement and the things that I sow into my life and into my space and into my well-being, so that there is some kind of checks and balances that I can see that, okay, you committed, or this is what you set out to do.
Right.
Let's now take an assessment and see, did you meet it? Did you not? Did you halfway meet it? And if not, what were the barriers that prohibited you from hitting where where you wanted to be?
Yeah.
And that's from even small things, like and I brought up the Peloton, so I'll bring that up.
Yeah.
And when I got the bike, which was almost a month ago now, my goal was, I don't care how many classes you take a day or a week, but if you get on the bike, you finish the class. You don't get off the bike until you finish the class. Don't give up. Come in last, whatever, but
so
that,
girl,
to
you
me,
might be struggling, but you better not get off that bike.
I know. And I just moved the little leaderboard off to the side. I don't even need to see what everybody else is doing.
That's
right.
Pressure.
It is pressure. It's so much pressure. I'm just happy to be on it and to be moving and sweating a little bit. That's my goal for right now, and then, and now that I've actually seen some progress, I feel stronger. I was just telling my husband that I really feel a lot stronger now that I've consistently kind of hit that. Now, I'm stepping it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of moving a little bit further on it.
That's right.
But it was so important for me because the first couple times that I got on the bike, like halfway through, I'm looking at the instructor like, you are a freak of nature. Like, this is way more than I need help.
I just wanted to ride the bike. That's all.
I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but the first few times everything was hurting, the little seat, everything was a whole thing. But I think that pushing, stay on the bike, keep going. I kept repeating that to myself over and over again around the, for those 30-minute rides, around the 15-minute mark, you're halfway done, and it used to be this song, a gospel song, Encourage Yourself. And I could just hear it playing in my head. I was just encouraging myself the whole time to stay on this bike.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that goes back to that, how, really speaking, pouring into yourself, and whatever that is that you need in that moment, then you need to be, willing to give yourself that in that moment, right? If you need encouragement, if you need to move your body, if you need, some mindfulness, if you need, sometimes it's just rest. Sometimes it's just, you just need to be still, or whatever that is. Yeah. Sometimes it's stimulation. Sometimes it's, we want to be out with our girlfriend. Like, that's what we need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm an only child, and I all the time, I feel like at least once a day, I need to be by myself. Overstimulation, it almost makes me sad sometimes. It's like at least once a day, I need to be kind of by myself. And one of the amazing opportunities that I had over the course of the last couple months, I got to go on a trip to Costa Rica with my line sisters. And these are four with me, but three of the 5 women that probably know me best in life, right?
Yeah.
And so we're at the pool, and I get up and I'm like, I'm going back to the room. And a lot of times, if people that don't know you, they would look and be like, she's being kind of antisocial. But, they were like, all right, we'll see you later at dinner, because they knew that about me, that I need that. I need that second of time to kind of give me gas. I need gas to get
Yes.
my car back. You know,
like get your second win when you
yes,
get a
when
moment
I'm by myself, I have a
by
minute.
yourself.
Yes, in the middle of
Yeah.
the day, I'll go upstairs, you know, and working from home. Don't even get me started on how being able to be at home and not having to go to an office or anything like that is its own self-care.
Yes.
But in the middle of the day, you know, being able to come out of my office, go upstairs, get on the bike, sometimes just get back in the bed and pull the covers over my head for 5 minutes of silence.
Yeah.
Is like a second
It's like
win.
self-care. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
and I think that's what I mean. Like, you know, sometimes self-care can get, again, I think when it becomes a trend is when it's like, oh, get my nails done, get my feet done, going to the spa. And again, I'm not saying, you know, let me be clear. I'm not saying that that can't be a form of self-care, but I think that there's so much more depth to self-care. And you just, you know, provided a beautiful example. I mean, sometimes it is literally just, I need to be by myself for a moment so that I can get my thoughts together, so that I can get that second win, because you need time to defuse, to decompress.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And making sure that you know, that you ask for, not ask for it, because that's not the right word, but making sure that you advocate. Because that's what I hear you saying too, is that you said to your girlfriends, like, listen, I'm about to go to the room. Y'all stay right here. I'm about to go to the room, okay, and get my little 5-10 minutes, right?
Yes, yes.
Sometimes I think we are worried about the perception of other people, you know, that we now kind of have constructed, like, well, what if they think I'm being bougie? Well, what if they think I'm being, you know, a troublemaker, or, you know, being different.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's not any of that. This is just what I need in this moment.
Right. And to be honest, it's literally better for everyone if I have this minute to myself, right? It's the best thing for everybody that I, you know, in even at home, you know, it's best for the family dynamics that I have that time to kind of gas up, you know?
So I mean, I equate it to maintenance. Like, that is your maintenance. You're like, I'm gonna go over here, be by myself for a minute, like you said, gas up, but that's my maintenance, you know? And that is a part of self-accountability, like tapping into yourself, knowing yourself enough to know that these are the things that you need, and being willing to create space or hold space, right? And holding space might mean that you have to you have to say to people, like, you know, I'm gonna tap out for a minute, you know. Or another big one, which I know has been really challenging for me, Jetheda, is saying no. You know, sometimes you don't want to say no to things because you think it's gonna, you know, I know in the past I have not said no to things because I thought that's going to look like I'm being funny, or they're going to take that the wrong way, you know. Or even, you know, in professional settings, will that opportunity come around again if I say no, right? You just mentioned going after your business and stuff. You know, there might have been a part of you that was holding on so tight because it's like, well, if I don't do it, will that opportunity come up again, right? Like, will the chance come about for me to be able to dive into creating this business? So I think that's a big one for women.
Saying no is it's tough. And for all the reasons that you stated, you know, it I think our natural, we want to say yes. We want to be able to prove, you know, that we can do everything. We can handle everything. We can take care of everybody. And saying no at times might feel like you're, you know, a defeatist mentality, you know, that, oh, I can't do it. But it's not really that you can't. It's just that you may have a different priority or a different lane for your time. And you know, people have to respect that. It was a period of time a few years ago that I was on a lot of organizations, community organizations. And I had to just start saying, and it was an abrupt no. Like, and I was so confident in my no's. I mean, it was almost
I gave a
rude the way I was.
I gave it a
Right.
powerful
And
no.
people couldn't even get the words out. Do you want to be nope, nope, nope. No time for that. I had gotten to be a pro at it. Nope, nope, no, 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 no. Songs about it. No.
But you have to you really, and again, going back to the self-accountability, you have to have that moment with yourself where you're like, okay, are you going to continue to just bite off more than you can chew, be overwhelmed, live in the overwhelm, do things that you don't want to do? Because let's be honest, like sometimes when we're not saying no, it's literally, or when we are saying no, it's literally because we just don't want to do it. And like, that's okay too,
Right.
And so it's like you really have to get to that place where you hold yourself accountable and say, no, like not today. Like you gotta tell yourself no. Like, no, girl.
Right. And sometimes, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was saying how her no came with a little bit of, if I say no, then someone else might do it, and they might not do it the way that I normally do it.
Wow.
So I'd rather just go ahead and do it than to have someone else kind of come in and do something that is not the way I do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
That's a whole nother level.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's like almost like a projection. Like, okay, I that's almost like you're not comfortable or confident in that particular relationship of that person being able to show up.
But if I was honest with myself, and I know my husband is watching, but I've done that with my husband, where I'll ask him, can you do X, Y, and Z? And he'll start to do it, and I'll be like, you know what? I got it. Let me just go ahead and do it. Let me just go ahead, and I have to catch myself and be like, you know what? He has his own way to do things. He has his own time.
That's right.
So, as you said, trust, he'll get it done. It may not be in the time or, the exact same way that I would, but guess what? I still have my peace. I have my time, and I'm going to release it to, to allow him to do it,
Release it. Yes. I love that. I love that. Release it so that you can have peace, because even if you do it, who's to say that while you're doing it, are you going to maintain that peace because you decided to step in and do something that you really should not do?
Right. Right. And in excellence, are you doing it at the level that it should be done?
That's right.
Probably not.
Right. Probably not, especially not if there's resistance. Like I feel like anytime you feel some resistance in doing something, you subconsciously are not going to give yourself to that, whatever that is. Right.
That's right.
You may not even mean to do it, but it's just that subconscious. Like, I really, really didn't want to be doing this. So I love that. I love that. So
I've seen it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've seen a lot of memes recently with folks that are like, it was one of this woman who was saying how when somebody asked her to go out with her friends like a week before, she was like, oh, yes. And then the day of, it's like, oh, no. And how many times in life I feel that way, where I was like, I committed too soon. And now that it's crept up on me, I'm like, oh, is there a way to get out of it?
Right. Yes. And I think we do that too. That you bring up a really good point there where and I call it like overcommitting or filling your cup up too much. You're filling it up to the brim. And I kind of use the analogy of like when you go get coffee, right? Like I'm a huge coffee drinker. I love coffee. Like that's how to get my morning started. I won't be even coherent if I don't drink coffee.
Yeah,
but
I'm right here.
Like when I see, there you go. You got your coffee.
Still going.
But I always make sure that I leave a little bit at the top so that I want to put, if I want to put my cream in or whatever. And I feel like that's what we have to do with ourselves. Like leave a little bit at the top. So that way, if something does come up, then you're not like, oh, well, I'm already booked to capacity or I'm already at my capacity. So anything else is going to push me overboard, right?
That's right.
And I've had to reel myself in on that because we'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. And it'll be like later. And then when it comes, I'm like, oh Lord, I forgot I had to do that. Like you said, then you're like, okay, so I have to do that.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Like that happens at the grocery store too. The over optimistic person who did the grocery shopping is not the person right here that wants to go out to dinner now. Like I I had high hopes.
Now we're at the grocery store.
Yeah, yeah. And now I'm home and I literally don't want to cook anything. So we're going out to eat.
Yes, yes. So just to recap for you guys, because I know y'all been tuning in and listening. We talked a little bit about not overcommitting, and I'm just recapping some strategies and tips for you to hold yourself accountable. Right? These are ways to make sure that you are staying accountable to yourself. And that's not overcommitting. We talked about and I talked about, check in with yourself, check in, like, am I still committing to the things I said I wanted for myself? It's easy to lose sight of those things when you are moving through your day, moving through your week. Things come up that you didn't anticipate, but you still got to do those check-ins. And then the last one is that we talked about, which actually was the first one that Jetheda mentioned, which was knowing that it's okay to say not now, not yet. This is not a right now thing, and I think that's another way to hold yourself accountable. And she mentioned the life plan, like creating a life plan that has to do with your business and your life, so that you are looking at how am I this strategically so that I know that I'm meeting those goals in both areas, right? The life things and the business things, because we have to plan for both. I don't think either. It's so funny. Nobody ever talks about a life plan, but it's like, why would we not? Like, there are goals that we want to accomplish in life, just like we set goals for our business. So it makes sense.
It's I mean, I can't even think about it living my life just rogue without a roadmap or a plan.
Right.
Literally the only time I want to be map free and have no kind of strategy to what I'm doing is when I'm on vacation.
Right.
When I'm on vacation, we don't have to have any plans. We can just, go with the flow.
I have to get better at that one, girl, because I used to be the planner on vacation. Like, okay, so we're gonna be here at this time. I was like, ma'am.
Yes,
I need you to go have
could be the same way.
several seats.
I can't lie about that. I definitely can be the same way. But in life, I like to have things, at least a goal, because the goal, working towards something that you have mapped out, it gives you that motivation to keep going, and I think for your life, for being a business owner, for us that are trying to build legacies in our, and you don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an intrapreneur and trying to build a legacy, right? So,
or both.
Or both.
Yeah.
Or both. It could be a combination of all of it. But I think there has to be some type of plan in place. You don't, the greats, the Oprahs, the Mark Zuckerbergs, they all had a plan. They didn't wake up and all of a sudden they're doing, whatever. There has to be a plan in place for it all.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I so believe that. And it doesn't mean that it's going to all turn out the way you planned it. But at least there is a guide, there is a roadmap. You have something to measure, to come back to.
Absolutely.
Yourself, veering off the road. So I love that. Okay, so before we get into our rapid fire five, I want to give one last piece of advice to our audience. What's the number one thing as women are moving through kind of your personal life, your business, what's the number one thing or piece of advice that you give them about self-accountability as self-care?
I would say, I don't want to stress this. overstress this,
Yeah,
but it just did
we need
so
to hear
much,
it time and time again.
this life plan, and
Yes.
I have recently started to actually take it on the road where, I'm helping women to develop these life plans because it is so transformative.
Yes, it is.
And even if it's not to the extent that I may have done it, but just even a plan for a month, your life plan for the month. What does my life look like this month? Does it include, me reading more? Does it include me going to the grocery store? Does it include going to church? Does it include me having someone come and help me clean my house? What is it that will be a part of your life this month, this year, the next 5 years that will help you get closer to what it is that will ultimately lead to your success? And I think once you can determine those things, you can start to pocket these lanes so you can see those spaces for self-care. You can see those gaps where you need to be filled with, it may be that trip to the nail salon. It may be, a trip home to where you're from to have that energy of being around your family. It may be, getting in the bed and pulling the covers, but you can't really see that when you have a bunch of just stuff at home.
When it's not laid out in front of you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Make it plain.
Exactly.
Look. That's a word from the book. Make it plain.
Exactly. So I think that's what I would say is, if you don't have the time to put together a full life plan, then at least to start to plan and to map out, in micro bits, the movements of your life.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. All right, so we are going to jump into our rapid fire. So you guys already know these are 5 questions that I ask every guest. I don't give them the questions in advance. Therefore, whatever comes out of their mouth, I am not responsible for. So I always make that disclaimer, but you're fine. All right, number 1, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to cook.
Okay.
And I like to drink really good wine.
Okay, girl, we could be BFFs. Now, the cooking part, you might have to come over here and help me out on that. But on the wine part,
I like to do those things together, like cooking and
while
drinking.
You're cooking.
It's really very relaxing to me.
Okay.
And so I find myself, one of my good girlfriends, we'll just cook, these big meals, and we'll just be cooking and having some really great wine and just talking. And it's just like a whole little therapy session. And, it may be just she and I eating, or our entire families. But I mean, it's just the best time. We haven't gone anywhere. We're just,
No,
and I love doing that.
The act of being in the kitchen. I might just be fumbling around doing, just doing little stuff. But I do like the act of being in the kitchen, definitely having my wine, and then you have some music going, and I'm like, I can just zen out. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. What's one stereotype about moms or women that drives you bananas?
A stereotype about moms and women, that there are limitations to the things that we can do.
Yes.
I think now it's gotten a little bit better. Yeah, as the millennials have kind of taken us out of that space. But you remember, like, back in the day, can you imagine in like the 80s, someone ever telling you, oh, one day there's going to be a Black female president or vice president?
Yeah.
Back then, those type of, that
have been like, what?
Right, we could do that. It's like there were certain things that were off limits. So I think even still now there, those seeds are planted in children's heads that, even with the toys that they play with and the dolls, that there are certain things that we just can't do. That motherhood limits you from doing it.
I was gonna say society makes it definitely more of a male dominated role.
That's right.
And so we don't see ourselves, and it's just like anything else. Like you don't see it, you don't believe it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it's so important for us to see proper representation, see, you know, our likeness. Because you're, I mean, I can remember growing up, I would have never thought we would have a female VP, you know.
Yeah,
Or some of the women that we see now doing, even in some of the sports, you know, that we see
exactly.
women showing up in. I'm like, wow, this is definitely the year of the woman for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's our time.
Who is your BFF in your head?
uh,
I love
Michelle
how everybody
Obama.
chuckles before.
I know.
Question.
Has anybody ever said that? Michelle Obama?
Oh yes. Oh, you know,
Yeah,
you know our forever
yeah,
lady. She gets
yeah. I feel like she's my best friend. Even
Yeah.
though the one time
love
that
it.
I met her, I got a little bit too close, and she kind of gave me a look like, you know, I was at this conference that she was speaking at, right? It's the craziest story. And she's like standing like right in front of me, like coming over to, I don't know if she was coming to shake my hand or like the people around me.
Yeah.
But my initial thought was, let me grab my cell phone and snap a picture, not realizing how close I am to the lady's face. And my flash was on. And so the picture flashes in her face. And then she looks up at me like, and I look at her like, and I mouth the word sorry. Okay, so that's my Michelle Obama.
Hilarious. I'm like, candid camera. That was funny.
I know. I wish somebody would have had a video. And what would have been even worse is if her security would have came and like snatched me. Oh,
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised you didn't get tackled.
What a scene that was. Oh,
so funny. Okay, so next question. What do you dream of becoming?
I dream of becoming really comfortable in my skin, in life, just to the point where I am not, you know, racing to achieve something, you know, because and that's the part of the plan that, you know, you kind of don't talk about, is that you spend time kind of trying to hit, you know, and I want to get to the point where it's, you know, I can sit back and say, you know, breathe and say I'm comfortable. And there's really, you know, as you mentioned earlier, I want to focus on just pouring out, you know, I'm full right now. I want to get to that point where I can say I'm full, and I want to focus my energy on you know, the outward pouring of resources and gifts and talent and time, where I can slow down. So
hey, I hear you. Like I'm always like, you know, God just bless me so that I can bless others, you know. I'm like, and that ultimately is just what, if I can do that, then I feel like I've really done what I'm here to do.
That's right. That's right.
Good. That's good. All right, last one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite song and why?
This is so random and weird, but I like it is, and I don't know the why. I just, every time I hear it, I'm just like, oh, it's Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
Oh
yeah. It's weird. I don't have a reason why I like it as much as I do. It's just something about it.
Moment? It's like, does it take you back to a moment or anything?
It just makes me feel really peaceful. Like as soon as I hear it, it just kind of makes me, you know, because I can visualize what's happening in the moment of actually.
I mean, it is sitting on the dock of the bay, so I mean, it's not too weird.
Yeah, I mean, and I have favorite songs for different things. That, you know, that is like one of the songs that really like brings kind of a self, because the conversation is about self-care. It brings like, you know, and then there are other songs that everybody that knows me knows I'm a Beyonce fan. So I could have said any Beyonce song. Party is another a Beyonce song that you could play, you know, in the middle of, you know, a funeral, and I would probably start dancing. Um,
Those are get you hyped, on.
yeah. So
That's good. You did good. Good job.
thank you for the rapid five. I like those. I like it. Puts you on the
Absolutely.
spot a little bit.
Yeah, you know, get you thinking a bit. Um, but Jetheda, this has been wonderful. As always, the time just seems to fly. Let everybody know where they can find you. How can they stay in touch with you, connect with you? Because I'm sure they're going to want to do that.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Mrs. Jetheda, MRSJETHEDA, Mrs. Jetheda, on Instagram and Facebook. My business pages are Consult Square Group, and also our franchise business, Card My Yard, is Card My Yard Howard. So follow any three of those pages to stay connected. My email is very simple. My Gmail is jetheda.hernandez@gmail. And of course, you're on Facebook, so you already see how to connect with me here. So just, you know, message me, or what is it, like or follow? I can't remember what it is on Facebook, but one of
I
those.
think it's follow. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty accessible.
Or friend.
Yeah.
Friend. It's friendly,
Friend.
right?
Yeah, friend.
She's
I
on
only
one of
use a
those.
couple of platforms, so
Right.
don't try to reach me on some of the new ones, because what is Snapchat? I'm only on Snapchat for the filters, so don't message me on there.
Right. Too funny. That's too funny. I know, right? I'm like, I can't keep up. I just be like, yeah, whatever. I don't know about
Yeah, yeah, all this new stuff.
exactly. Well, this is so good. Thank you so much for coming and spending this time with us and sharing
Absolutely.
your journey, your story. I really appreciate it. Make sure you guys, you know, go back and listen to this. There were a lot of different nuggets that will help you on your health journey as you know, because it is a journey. It's something that you have to take day by day. It's not something that you do one time. So make sure you go back and re-listen. If there's another woman entrepreneur or mompreneur out there that you know would benefit from hearing this, make sure you hit the share button and share this so that they can see it as well and they can be poured into also. Okay. The Eventful Life over on YouTube. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. Would love you guys to subscribe so that way you can get all the upcoming episodes and keep in contact and keep up to date on what's going on. All right. All right, guys. Well, you know what I always say, you can't have it all, but remember, it has to be on your time and your
Yes.
terms. Okay. Until next time, you guys have a great week and be blessed. Bye.